Feather the Redeemed versus Freyalise, Lanoir's Fury. Since the War of the Spark update, all of the Planeswalkers are not loading up with any artwork. There is an issue with Planeswalkers in this new set that I will go over once we've gotten the game underway. Going for a tapped Shockland here, and throw it over. Freyalise, Lanoir's Fury is a 5 mana, 3 loyalty Planeswalker, +2, throws out a Lanoir Elves, -2 is Naturalize, -6, draw a card for each green creature you control. We'll get down Young Pyromancer. Young Pyromancer will give us an elemental every time we cast an instant or sorcery. And every time we cast an instant or sorcery that targets a creature we control, Feather will have it come back into our hand instead of going into the graveyard at the end step. She is a 3/4 flyer for 3 mana in Boros. I don't know if I'm too worried about our opponent getting rid of Feather. They might have a Lignify or a Song of the Dryads. Yeah, it doesn't really make much difference, does it? I'm just thinking of casting Reckless Rage. And we don't really have protection for her anyway, but I'd like to go for the Felwar Stone anyway. Then we can get down Feather next turn, and we'll be able to Reckless Rage as well. Okay, we got a Naturalize out of our opponent's hand with the Felwar Stone. Let's grab ourselves a Plateau here. Now this thing taps for X mana, where X is the number of elves on the battlefield, so I think we need to get rid of that one with our Reckless Rage. Reckless Rage deals 4 damage to a creature our opponent controls and 2 damage to one of ours. And we will get Reckless Rage back at the beginning of the end step. We'll also get an elemental token thanks to Young Pyromancer. And Reckless Rage is not likely to ever kill Feather because she has 4 toughness. Our opponent still has 6 mana available to them on turn 4, so it's not nothing. And there's a Mana Reflection, so that's even more mana. A Mana Reflection would mean that the Jiraga Tree Speaker would tap for 4 mana, and I think we can all agree that I just can't have that. Let's go Reckless Rage onto the Jiraga Tree Speaker and target our Feather with that as well. And then we'll also Bandage. I suppose we could have done that in response to the Reckless Rage. And Young Pyromancer is a pretty good card. I don't know if any of you know about that. Let's put Haste onto one of these elementals and get even more elemental creatures, and that will draw us a card as well. And then Defiant Strike do we want? I don't think it really matters. Let's just pass over like that and swing in with everything except the Young Pyromancer. I'd be more than happy for my opponent to block here. And then we get 3 cards back into our hand thanks to Feather, the Bandage, the Crimson Wisps, and the Reckless Rage. I'm going to Reckless Rage on the Boreal Druid during our opponent's upkeep, just so they don't have that extra 2 mana lying around. I don't know how much difference there is between 8 mana and 10 mana, or 12 mana and 10 mana in this case. Seasons Past. Return any number of cards with different CMCs from your graveyard to your hand. So they get nearly everything back into their hand here. So we know they have a Naturalize, a Wirewood Channeler, and a Jiraga Tree Speaker. Not particularly worried about any of those. And they're not going for the Jiraga Tree Speaker, which is noteworthy. Oh, and we've gone through to our end step. I've done that a few times. We should have gone for Bandage or Crimson Wisps there. But instead, we just end up getting back the Reckless Rage, not to worry. Okay, we'll get down a Plains. And I think a Defiant Strike onto our Feather is alright. And then we'll give Haste to one of our elementals. And a Champion's Helm, actually, I very much like. But we're against green, so I don't know if I'm too worried about that now that I think about it. Let's just go for Crimson Wisps onto an elemental to give it Haste and draw a card. And we'll swing in with those. Now, Eurelia's Fury allows us to tap down and burn creatures. And it also keeps our opponent from casting non-creature spells, which I think I would quite like to do. So let's get rid of the Acroan Conscriptor. And then during our opponent's upkeep, we will Eurelia's Fury. We have to target Feather with one of those points of damage. And yeah, I think that's okay like that. And the game crashes. How incredibly annoying. What I meant to mention at the beginning of the game, I did say that the Planeswalkers aren't loading up with artwork on them. Apparently what the bug is if we get a Watcher and then someone activates the ability of a Planeswalker, then that makes the game crash. And there we go, yeah, Lol Tyrant has come in and started watching, and that has made the game crash. Now, it's nothing to do with the Planeswalker though, so it must just be someone coming in and watching a game that causes it to crash. So that's unfortunate. I will upload this as a bonus game because it was really showing off what Feather does. There's supposed to be a fix out for this on Wednesday. I'm recording this on Tuesday. So the day that you're watching this, hopefully it'll be fixed, but obviously I don't know if WotC are actually going to push a fix out for this or not. We'll try and get on with another game and see if we can see one through to completion this time. Now the problem is, when you come into the lobby here, if I stop people from watching, like that, no watchers allowed, there's absolutely no one in that lobby, so no one will see that I'm out here trying to get a game with someone. All I've done here is go into the comment section, put please don't watch because it causes the game to crash, so hopefully people will actually pay attention to that. Okay, third strike, and you are out, Yoko 23, Feather the Redeemed. And for the third time tonight, up against Sydri, Galvanic Genius. We have no white mana there, and we need 2 white mana, so I'm going to mulligan this. Okay, that's much better. What do we get rid of? A land, I think we're okay to get rid of. Let's ditch the Rugged Prairie. We'll get down a tapped Shockland, go for Electrostatic Field on turn 2. And we'll see what we draw into from there. Sydri Galvanic Genius is a 3-mana Esper commander, a 2/2. For blue, you can have a non-creature artifact become a creature artifact. Its power and toughness is equal to its CMC. And then for Orzhov, a target artifact creature gains Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of the turn. A turn 1 shooter for our opponent. Yeah, played against Yoko twice tonight, and they've quit prematurely both times, so let's all keep our fingers crossed together that we're actually going to get a full game out of this individual. I give people the benefit of the doubt and don't ban them immediately for quitting like that. If they do it multiple times, then I will just ban them. So like I said, this is third strike and you're out. Something tells me that this opponent isn't going to quit on us this time though, thanks to all that mana. I think we just have to rush down Feather here. We're a couple of turns away from getting down Feather and holding up Valorous Stance. And our opponent's in white, so there's no guarantee that Valorous Stance would even protect us. Plenty of black minus effects as well that get around Valorous Stance. Drawing 2 cards with Night's Whisper. And a Nile Spellbomb I could not care less about. We don't do anything with our graveyard. Let's get down a plateau with that. And then I think we're okay to expedite Feather. That will ping our opponent with the Electrostatic Field. And expedite will give haste and draw a card. We just get into another land. So I think we hold up Valorous Stance. Not going to swing into a Flying Death Toucher. Sword of Feast and Famine, that's exactly what they got down last time. They also got Baleful Strix down as well. Okay, Sydri coming down. I'm surprised they're not equipping up the Sword of Feast and Famine. Now, have we shown our opponent that we have Valorous Stance? I don't think we have yet, have we? I want to be able to give Feather Indestructible and be able to kill that Baleful Strix when it swings in with a sword attached to it. So let's go for heal instead. Get a couple of pings on our opponent with the Electrostatic Field. We draw a card at the beginning of next turn's upkeep with heal. Now our opponent's paused here, so I wonder if they have a Swords to Plowshares. Do I risk it? I think they might have a Swords to Plowshares. I'm not going to risk losing Expedite there, so let's just go through to the end step. If they cast Swords on us now, I want to be able to Expedite in response. We draw a card at the beginning of our next upkeep, thanks to heal. And we get into our own Sword of Feast and Famine. We can ping 1, 2, 3, and 4. That'll cost us 6 mana. Yeah, we can't quite do that yet. I'm going to risk a Sword of Feast and Famine here. If our opponent has swords, then they have it. But if we manage to get the Sword of Feast and Famine onto Feather, which we do, then we can swing straight through and untap all of our lands. Okay, they're turning the Isle Spell Bomb into a creature. I don't think that has flying, does it? No, so I'm not quite sure why they've done that. They'll have to discard a card. They've only got 3 cards in hand. They have gotten rid of a Sky Sovereign console flagship. Now we can tap down both of our opponent's creatures. Yeah, I'm actually going to wait and see what our opponent targets with that Sword of Feast and Famine. I'll wait until combat. And then we can just tap down whichever creature our opponent equips the sword to. They go for it on Sydri. We could blow that up with Valorous Stance now if we wanted to. And at the beginning of combat, we go for Aurelia's Fury. That's 1 there. We have to put 1 onto Feather in order to get Aurelia's Fury back. And then how about we put 1 on our opponent as well so they can't cast non-creature spells. We'll ping our opponent because we've cast an instant. Aurelia's Fury is X damage divided as you choose amongst any number of targets. Tap each creature dealt damage this way. Players dealt damage this way can't cast non-creature spells this turn, which may hurt our opponent in a Sydri deck. They've only got 2 cards left in hand. And there we go, just like I suspected, when the going gets tough, Yoko gets going. Let's attempt to see what we would have drawn into there. We obviously would have gotten back our Aurelia's Fury there. And we would have drawn into a Wooded Foothills. Let's say we would have expedited and drawn another card. Another mountain. And then, yeah, we probably would have gone for heal. And maybe Valorous Stance, then swung through. And untapped our lands. So what are we on there? Heal, expedite, Valorous Stance. And then how about an Impact Resonance as well for a lot of damage. So that is another card. We get a Stoneforge Mystic. And then we would have untapped all our lands and been able to do the obnoxious Aurelia's Fury trick. Kept our opponent from casting non-creature spells for the rest of the game. So I think we had that sealed up. Our opponent only had 2 cards in hand, and one of which was apparently a non-creature spell because they were having the most trouble casting it. So I'm going to give Yoko the benefit of the doubt in this one now that I think about it, because they may have been out of the game without being able to cast non-creature spells, and that is a lock that I was definitely going to put onto them there. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Feather, the Redeemed, versus Sydri, Galvanic Genius. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.